Well, first of all, he raises the issue of the Foreign Secretary. Let me tell you, I think we have an excellent Foreign Secretary. And when it comes to it, there's only one person I can remember round here knifing a Foreign Secretary, and I think I'm looking at him. Yeah. There we are. It's just the usual pre-scripted questions you dreamt up earlier. But the fact is, has he got a reform plan for the NHS? No. Has he got a police reform plan? Has he got a plan to cut the deficit? No wonder, going back to the former Foreign Secretary, no wonder the former Foreign Secretary has just said this. The left is losing elections on an unprecedented scale because it's lost control of the political agenda, it's losing key arguments, and it has a deficit in ideas. That's what he said, and he's absolutely right. Perhaps he could confirm this, because I have an invitation. He is going to make a major speech tomorrow, and I've got the invitation. This is the invitation that's been sent out. Ed Miliband is going to make a major speech on the economy on Thursday. It won't have any new policies in it. Let me be very fair to the right honourable gentleman. I followed very carefully his interview on Desert Island Discs, and I think it's fair to say he's no longer a follower of Marx. He's loving Engels instead. There is a group of people on this side of the House who want some rebalancing, a group of people who want a lot of rebalancing, and a complete mug who wants no rebalancing at all. I had a brief discussion with the President of France after his victory. I look forward to having a longer bilateral with him before the G8 starts this weekend. I look forward specifically to discussing what more we can do to help in terms of European growth.
Mr. Speaker, if I may say so, it's a shame he didn't see the French President 3 months ago when he was in the United Kingdom. But I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, a text message and LOL will go down very well.
Well, first of all, I have to admit that perhaps I've been overusing my mobile phone, but at least as Prime Minister, I know how to use a mobile phone rather than just throw it at the people who work for me. So probably still see the dent.
And bingo may not exactly be the bread and circuses of our age, but as leading lights of the coalition rush forward to express their love for them, will the Prime Minister dissociate himself from the snobbish and disdainful comments made by his party chairman?
Can I thank the honourable gentleman for once again advertising the fact that this government is cutting the tax on bingo operators, and quite right, because their industry was decimated by Labour. And can I thank him also for pointing out the Chancellor's approach of cutting beer duty, because we want to back responsible drinkers, and because we back the pub trade. And yes, I'm sure the honourable gentleman, right honourable gentleman sitting opposite, enjoys a game of bingo. It's the only time he ever gets close to number 10. I have to say, Mr. Speaker, I almost feel sorry for Labour MPs. They can't talk about the deficit because it's fallen. They can't talk about growth because it's rising. They can't talk about jobs because we're increasing them. They can't talk about immigration because they've been told not to talk about immigration. They can't talk about their leader because he's a complete waste of space. No wonder for Labour MPs this year it's a silent night.
Mr. Speaker, on Monday, the Prime Minister announced his retirement plans. And he said it was because he believed in giving straight answers to straight questions. Now, after 5 years of Prime Minister's questions, that was music to my ears, Mr. Speaker. So here's a straight question. Will he now rule out a rise in VAT?
In 43 days' time, I plan to arrange his retirement, Mr. Speaker. I understand, Mr. Speaker, there's some worry that in this government we actually talk to each other. This is clearly not the case. Well, the Shadow Chancellor raises this issue. It's perfectly clear that the Shadow Chancellor and the leader of the Labour Party don't speak to each other at all. The day after his Shadow Chancellor was asked on the television, could he think of one single business leader? And do you know what he said? Do you know what he said, Mr. Speaker? He said, Bill somebody. Mr. Speaker, Bill somebody's not a person. Bill somebody's Labour's policy. Isn't it extraordinary? The Shadow Chancellor, after last week and all of that, he's at it again, heckling again. But we learned something last week. He can dish it out, but he can't take it. There we are. Oh! I tell you what's going down. His career is going down. That is what is going down. We've got a new hand gesture from the Shadow Chancellor. Yes. I would have thought after today's briefing in the papers, the hand gesture for the Shadow Chancellor should be bye-bye. You don't need it to be Christmas to know when you're sitting next to a turkey. The bank levy will raise £2.5 billion each year once it's fully up and running. Yes, 2.5 billion is, even the Shadow Chancellor can tell him, 2.5 billion's more than 2.3 billion. And with the magic of addition, if you have a bank levy every year, which we supported and he opposed, they said don't do it, remember that, we will raise 9 billion compared with his 2.3 billion. Even the Shadow Chancellor can work out that 9 is bigger than 2.3. I think he knows this just isn't working. Yeah. We've ended up with a Shadow Chancellor who can't count and a Labour leader who doesn't count. I mean, he was in the Treasury.